and welcome to Light for Life 2017. This is the second year of this Diwali charity function, and this year we're raising money in support of the Starship Foundation, Totara Hospice South Auckland and the Cancer Society. It's going to be a really exciting night, so let's get started.
I would like to thank you, every one of you, and your support tonight, and we hope you enjoy the night ahead.
Patel and Pike are gold sponsors of tonight's event, pledging $10,000. Can we please welcome Mr. Kanu Patel, Managing Director of Patel Pike.
Last year, we raised over 100,000, out of which we gave 70,000, 35,000 to cancer, and 35,000 to Totara Hospice. So that's one of the objectives. The second objective is to recognize people that work hard to cure cancer or provide support, provide love, provide care, provide compassion. When we bought this place, we only had $200,000 in our bank account and $450,000 worth of building in Victoria Street. Today we have created a $30 million worth of community assets. So that's all thanks to the volunteers, the hard work, and some bold decision making. It's not easy to buy a place like this when you got that little money in the bank account. So our model is a bit different. Our model is more donation, charity, but also commercial. So what happens with the commercial aspect, we can balance the community needs. So therefore, we don't have to go around raising funds all the time. So that's the benefit of our status. We are in a privileged position to give and to donate. And so what I suggest tonight is that we all think about giving. Giving is a privilege. Serving others is a privilege. So let's do it. Thank you very much.
Basically, they'd found this tumour which was the size of a grapefruit, which sounds like a ridiculous descriptive word to describe a tumour, but it was the size of a grapefruit and it was pressing on my heart, which was obviously making me, struggling with breathing, sleeping, and itchy. And I remember, they were obviously waiting for my parents to come back to tell me that I had cancer. And when you hear that word and you get told it, especially when you're 18, it sort of hits you like a sledgehammer. And even talking about it now, I can just remember being in there. And I remember at the time getting told that, and I was obviously pretty gutted. And then I remember looking at Mum, and I was in a bit of a weak moment, and I said, I don't want to die. And then she said, "You're not going to die." And then just went back to reading her pamphlet, literally. And I was like, right, okay, I'm not going to die. Great, what are we going to do? And when we got into it, and basically we had, we mapped out a road. We had 6 months of chemotherapy. If I look at two things, I'd say one of them, like the Cancer Society, it's actually about the good support that's around you. I think that's really, really important. And I had great people around me. We knew what we needed to do, and we got it done. And I suppose the other thing is that, cancer made me who I am today. And Diwali's all about hope. And at that time we had hope, and if I look back on it now, it was a pretty massive moment in my life, and it, I certainly, I've definitely grown from it.
60 people are diagnosed with cancer. You've just heard one story. There are another 59 stories just like that created every day. Some of those stories don't have a happy ending, I'm afraid. But one thing in common, we know that those people that are diagnosed with cancer, one of the first organisations they turn to for help is the Cancer Society. Another area, of course, where we're very active is in cancer prevention. And whether it's talking to school kids at a school setting about creating a healthier future, or it's working with central government on health policy. Again, that's a very strong focus of ours. And I want to recognise our MP, Dr. Parmjit Pamir, who's a very great supporter of the Cancer Society and a very strong voice in Parliament for health issues. And the final area where the Cancer Society, I think, really makes a difference and has a fantastic niche is in the area of cancer research, drug development and drug discovery. We need these new medicines to help us increase our cancer survival rates, and they're creeping up every single year. In the 1970s, your chances of a successful cancer diagnosis were very low, maybe 20–25%. These days, as a broad average, if you're diagnosed with cancer, your chances of a successful outcome are almost 60%, and for some cancers even higher. And that's a steady incremental increase of over 1% per year. Now, all of this stuff is only possible through the support of the community, and it's at events like this and with people like you that we make all these things happen. So I just want to close by thanking you all very much for coming here and making this such a wonderful, amazing, colourful evening, and to thank our wonderful sponsors, and in particular my old cycling buddy Jatine, who really I think is the key to bringing us all here tonight.
Donha Real Estate are also gold sponsors for tonight's event, pledging $10,000.
Last year, exactly this time, I had the opportunity to tour the Telstra Hospice and also New Zealand Cancer office and hotel in Newmarket. I get to understand the values of what they do, and 3 weeks after I visit the two premises, one of my business partner, my best friend, has got cancer. 3 more weeks later, my wife's uncle collapsed, and he was suffering at home. And I get to watch him die. And I said, if I didn't understand about hospice, what they provide, I would be totally against it, not to go there. But I had the opportunity to tour the hospice facility, and I insist that he must go there instead of keeping him at home. And I'm glad that I did that, and I'm glad I insist to do that.
It's like catching waves from a distance, and I can't see the end of this until I see the end of me. 'Cause right now I'll be chasing dreams.
I was absolutely blown away on behalf of Totara Hospice last year, and in a way to give back to the Indian community, we've started an outreach programme in partnership with a hospice that's trying to set up in Delhi in India in order to try and give back and create a hospice movement across Delhi. And you were the inspiration for that, and thank you so much for allowing us to be able to give back in some small way.
Reflect a little bit on being the Chief Executive of the Starship Foundation. It's very much a pleasure and a privilege and an honor to be the head of a national charity who supports a hospital that provides for up to 150,000 patient visits annually. It supports a national air ambulance service that takes about 300 missions a year from everywhere in the country. When a child is sick or injured and needs help, it needs to get to an intensive care unit. There is only one in the country, and that's at Starship. So through your support, we're able to not only help children get to Starship, but we're making advances every day. Now, I've been 25 years in New Zealand, and Starship is now celebrating its 25th anniversary as a hospital and as a foundation. And we're immensely proud of the work that's been done over the first 25 years. Advances in pediatric medicine mean that procedures and operations on children are less invasive. There's less pain involved, and very importantly, more surviving and getting home much earlier than they used to. And that's only thanks to support of the community like yours that we've been able to top up the government funding, who provides a very adequate hospital. but I think you would join me in believing that for our children, we want more than adequate. So with your help, together, we can ensure that Starship is a world-class facility for all our kids.
Playing cricket in New Zealand and Australia, you cop a lot of abuse, I guess you could call it, from the crowd, because usually you don't want to field in the second innings, because by the time the Aussies and the Kiwis have a few in them, you tend to cop it. But over in India and Sri Lanka and Bangladesh and Pakistan, you have grown men dancing in the stands at 9:30 in the morning without a drop of alcohol, and that aspect I just cannot quite fathom, but it just sort of illustrates the passion they have for the game of cricket.
Death doesn't discriminate. Young, old, male, female, or culture, and it affects everyone. My name is Ellen Davis, and I lost my dad. One thing is for sure, I feel more proud of my dad today than ever before. His spirit, humour, and steadfast approach to honour his time whilst he was living in the face of what he was going through is something I'll always admire. I am honoured tonight to share a little of my dad James's, my mum's, and my story, so you can understand the importance of hospice in our community. My dad James visited the doctor, and in a matter of weeks, we went from a family with no previous health concerns to a family going through what no one wishes: a cancer diagnosis. I thought that it would be fine. I was 10 and believing that he was going to come right. I never once had a thought in my head that he was not going to get through it. Of course, Mum and Dad were going to beat this illness, and Dad was just going to lose a little bit of hair. I thought my world would continue as it always has been. However, at the age of 13, my life changed forever. I lost my dad, and nothing can prepare one for this truly overwhelming journey. If there wasn't a background organisation like hospice to pick up a whole lot of the day-to-day stuff, I know my mum and I would not have been able to cope as well as we did. Someday you'll be faced with the reality of a loss. Some of you here may already have. And like me, you will learn that days and nights roll on. And even though your heart is broken, and you'll never stop missing those people, and you cannot imagine living without them, you continue to grow and experience life. My dad will always be a part of me, and there is a depth and understanding in me that will carry me forward in all that I do in my life. In his last few days, my father was at hospice, and he passed at hospice. I now know my assumptions were wrong, and having faced the reality of hospice and the journey with my father, I realised how harder it would have been without them being beside us through this time. And can I thank you, our guests and hospice supporters here? Please, you must remember that this can happen to you. You never know who's going to need hospice, and chances are that someone you love will benefit. So consider tonight, when you are donating and bidding, you are not really giving to an unknown person or charity. You're giving to a place that will look after someone you love.
I've been on a cancer journey myself, and my journey started 10 years ago. It was Melanoma Awareness Week, and I was reading an article in the newspaper about the risk factors for melanoma. Fair skin, sunburn as a child, more than 50 moles on my body, and I ticked many of those boxes. And I'd never had a skin check in my life, and growing up in the UK, I didn't really think I was at risk. But reading that article that day made me go and book a checkup with a skin specialist. And the skin specialist gave me the once-over and said, "Sue, how long have you had that mole on your calf?" And I said, I don't know. I've never really noticed it before. And he said, "Well, I don't like the look of that one. I'm going to take that out." I still wasn't concerned. I'd had a few friends that had been and had moles cut out, and they hadn't amounted to anything sinister. So it was a complete shock a few days later when I got the phone call from my specialist and said, "Sue, is this a good time to talk?" Yeah. And he told me I had a stage 3 melanoma and that he needed to see me urgently back in his rooms and schedule me in for immediate surgery. And with a stage 3 melanoma, there's a real risk that it's spread to the lymph nodes. So I had to have a lymph node taken out as well. Now this was 10 years ago, and 10 years ago, there was no hope if melanoma had spread through your lymph nodes. It was a death sentence. My specialist said to me, that I'd really dodged a bullet, that if I'd left that mole and not got it checked, another 3 to 6 months, I wouldn't be here speaking to you today. And at that time, during those 2 weeks, the Cancer Society was my lifeline. They have an 0800 cancer helpline. When you're diagnosed with cancer and you walk out of your doctor's surgery, you're in shock and you don't always ask the questions you want to ask or you think of at the time. And it's only later when you digest the information that you have a lot of questions. And that 0800 cancer helpline was my lifeline.
We've all united here today because of our one shared motive of giving back something to our society, whatever is possible in one's capacity. It truly warms my heart. I am Niket Shah, the son of Bhairavi and Jigar Shah. I've been brought up by my parents in a very positive, healthy, and joyful environment. They've been a great influence as to what I've been able to learn and achieve every day. I cannot thank God enough for making me the son of my proud parents. But sadly, now I only have my loving mum with me as my bubbly, full of life, high-spirited dad, who's just 43 years old, is no more with us. He was diagnosed with oral cancer exactly a year ago now. Back then, doctors had told us it wouldn't be life-threatening. With his jovial, carefree approach, he could beat it. He was coming back to life with the rehab program. Then life decided to hit him hard again. All his main organs in his body showed signs of cancer. Doctors didn't understand the nasty nature of his cancer. I must say, my dad was a lion-hearted man. Through my mom's unwavered support, he kept on fighting till the last moment, until a peaceful stroke had passed him on. He had been supported all throughout the 6 months of his battle with cancer by my grandparents, his brother, his family, and all his dear friends' families. As he passed, he taught all of us to live happily. Today, I've shared with you all the most important 6-month journey of my dad's life and how important the roles these institutions play in the lives of cancer patients. I earnestly, in all my conscience, request each and one of you here to dig your pockets for the highest bid at the auction tonight to raise money for this great cause.
Hoping I can find my dream.
And who's got $1,900? It's just that simple. Go to 1,900, we can bid at 1,800. 2-1, 2-2, anywhere, 2-2. Down 200, thank you. 4,000, woohoo! 4,000. And so, thank you, sir.